Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to unpack complex topics and really pull out the key insights for you. Today, we're diving into Afghanistan. Now, it's often called the heart of Asia, and maybe surprisingly described by some as paradise on earth. Beautiful landscapes. That contrast, well, it challenges a lot of the common ideas people have, and that's what we want to explore. Our mission really is to go through our sources and find those crucial nuggets of knowledge about Afghanistan. We're looking at its identity, its incredibly rich history, its cultural resilience, and its profound beauty, which often gets overlooked. So think for a second. When you hear Afghanistan, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Okay, let's take that thought, maybe expand on it a bit, and discover what really makes this country the heart of Asia.
Yeah, and what's immediately striking, I think, is just how fundamentally its geography has shaped everything. Its history, its culture, the day-to-day lives of its people.
That's so true. You look at the map, right? It's landlocked, smack in the middle of South Central Asia. It shares borders with Pakistan to the east and south, Iran out west, then Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan up north. And there's that small but really significant border with China in the northeast.
And it's a big country, about 652,000 square kilometers. The landscapes are just, well, dramatic, really diverse. You've got the huge Hindu Kush mountain range cutting right through it, rugged peaks, deep valleys that define so much of it. But then across the south and west, you find these vast deserts and plains. Big contrast.
And this isn't just about, mountains and deserts. It's shaped life there for thousands of years. This geography made Afghanistan a real crossroads for civilizations. It meant not just goods moving through, but ideas too, philosophies, religions, constantly flowing through those valleys.
Exactly. Think about the ancient Silk Road, that vital network. China, India, Persia, Europe. It ran straight through Afghanistan. So it wasn't just a trade route. It was like a melting pot where cultures mixed, changed, but also, maybe paradoxically, people held on to their unique identities really fiercely. That constant interaction, it built this incredibly adaptable, independent spirit.
And in a place like that, cities naturally spring up as cultural centers. Kabul, obviously the capital. It's the biggest city, the political, the cultural heart. It's nestled in a valley, mountains all around. Been a hub for trade and culture for centuries. But besides Kabul, are there other cities that really show off Afghanistan's different layers? Maybe something with a surprising fact.
Oh, absolutely. You've got Kandahar, for instance. People often call it the spiritual birthplace of modern Afghanistan. That hints at its deep historical weight. Then there's Herat. It's famous for its beautiful Persian-influenced architecture, yeah, but it was also a major center for art and Sufi mysticism for centuries, a powerful reminder of Afghanistan's intellectual side. Mazar-e-Sharif, well, that's known for the incredible Blue Mosque. And Jalalabad, famous for its gardens, its orchards, shows a sort of greener, softer side of the country. Each one tells a different part of the Afghan story.
Right. With that kind of geography, those vibrant cities, it almost feels like its history had to be this epic saga of empires and rivalries. It's like a who's who of ancient powers. Part of the Persian Empire, then the Mauryan Empire from India, later the Kushan Empire.
And the Kushans embracing Buddhism wasn't just like a footnote. It left behind amazing art and architecture. Think of the sites in Bamiyan. They tell this powerful story about how different faiths once thrived there, adding to this really rich, layered culture. Then Islam arrived in the 7th century. That was transformative, deeply shaping the culture for centuries after. And fast forward to the 13th century, you get Genghis Khan's Mongol armies sweeping through, just another complex layer added to the mix.
But maybe one of the most defining times, at least in modern history, was the 19th century. Afghanistan becomes the absolute center of the rivalry between the British Empire and Tsarist Russia. That period we know as the Great Game.
It really was like a giant chess match, wasn't it? Afghanistan was seen less as its own nation and more like a buffer zone, a strategic piece. And that whole era, it deeply ingrained this sense of, external interference and a really fierce desire for self-determination that echoes even today.
Yeah. And despite being caught between these huge powers, Afghanistan actually regained full independence in 1919. That was after the Third Anglo-Afghan War. It made it one of the very first independent Muslim nations in the modern era. That's where it really hits you.
Yeah.
Imagine being central to so many world-changing events,
Yeah.
just enduring.
Exactly. But then the late 20th century, after things had been relatively stable for a bit, well, unfortunately, that plunged Afghanistan into a new, very visible era of intense conflict.
So if the Great Game was one major chapter, the late 20th century brought a whole different kind of struggle. It kicked off dramatically with the Soviet invasion in 1979. That led to a decade-long war, right? With the Afghan resistance fighters, the Mujahideen, there were this diverse group of Islamic guerrilla fighters united against the Soviets.
Right. And after the Soviets pulled out, the country unfortunately fractured, fell into a really devastating civil war in the 1990s. It was during that chaos that the Taliban, an extremist religious and political movement, gained power. By 96, they controlled most of the country. And then came September 11, 2001. Suddenly, Afghanistan was under this intense international spotlight. A US-led coalition removed the Taliban, yes, but that started another 2 decades of war and, well, profound instability.
Which brings us almost to the present day. The withdrawal of international forces in 2021 and the Taliban taking control once again. When you look at that whole long, turbulent timeline, you see a nation just constantly dealing with massive external pressures, internal strife.
Yeah.
That makes you ask, how do people endure that kind of continuous upheaval?
And that spirit, that endurance, as our deep dive shows, it really is Afghanistan's greatest strength. It's the people themselves.
Absolutely. It's not just one group of people. It's this amazing mosaic, so many ethnic groups. Pashtuns, Tajiks, Hazaras, Uzbeks, Turkmens, many more. This mix isn't just demographics. It fundamentally makes the culture incredibly rich and diverse. It shapes its unique character.
And the languages reflect that too. Dari and Pashto are the official ones, yes. But alongside them, you hear dozens of local languages and dialects spoken all across the country. Each one is like a thread in that cultural tapestry woven over centuries.
And when you look at how they express that culture, poetry. Poetry seems to be right at the heart of it all. Famous poets like Rumi, born in Balkh, are known worldwide. It shows this deep intellectual, spiritual heritage. But it's not just poetry, is it? Storytelling, folk music, traditional dance. These aren't just performances. They're woven into the fabric of daily life, connecting communities.
And hospitality? In Afghanistan, that's not just being polite. It's seen as a sacred duty. Guests are treated with incredible generosity, lots of tea, fresh bread, traditional dishes. It's a sign of deep respect. And underpinning everything from the smallest village to the biggest city is family. Family is absolutely central. It shapes values, daily routines, provides that core support system.
And weaving through all that is faith. Islam is the dominant religion, mostly Sunni Muslims, but there's a smaller Shia community too. Big religious festivals like Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha are celebrated everywhere, bringing people together. And the rhythm of daily life, it's really guided by the call to prayer, going to the mosque, traditions rooted in Islam.
And beyond the people's resilience, Afghanistan also has this significant, often unseen economic potential and stunning natural beauty that just defies the common images.
Yeah, that's true. The economy has historically relied a lot on agriculture, right? Those fertile valleys. Farmers grow wheat, grapes, apricots, pomegranates, melons, nuts. A lot of variety. And actually, Afghan pomegranates and saffron, they're famous around the world for their quality.
And it's not just farming. Traditional crafts are important too. Think of those intricate carpets, other handicrafts. These are important exports, yeah, but they also represent centuries of tradition passed down generation after generation. Amazing artistry.
Something else that's fascinating, maybe less known. Afghanistan is thought to have huge untapped mineral wealth. We're talking significant amounts of gold, copper, lithium, rare earth elements, like crucial for modern tech. But the huge challenge, of course, is that instability has pretty much prevented any large-scale development of these incredible resources.
Yeah, a major hurdle. Yeah, despite all the challenges, all the focus on conflict, Afghanistan is still this land of really profound contrast and amazing natural beauty. That often gets missed.
It really does. You picture those majestic, snow-capped Hindu Kush mountains stretching across the north and east, breathtaking views. And then in the Central Highlands, there's Bandamere National Park. It just dazzles you. 6 deep blue lakes formed naturally by minerals, looks almost unreal, untouched.
And Bamiyan Valley, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Tragically, the giant Buddha statues were destroyed in 2001, we know that. But the site itself still draws huge attention for its incredible archaeological remains. Those massive niches carved into the cliffs are still there. They tell such a powerful story about Afghanistan's deep Buddhist history, how different cultures and faiths were intertwined there.
So when you pull all of this together, what does it mean? It means that despite decades of war, hardship, Afghanistan's natural wonders, its cultural treasures, they're still extraordinary, often unseen, but resiliently there.
Right.
But of course, that doesn't minimize the challenges they face now.
No, absolutely not. Those challenges are profound. Today, Afghanistan faces widespread poverty, a serious lack of education access for many, poor healthcare, ongoing political instability, and the question of women's rights and freedom. That's one of the most complex, most debated issues both inside Afghanistan and globally. It touches on really deep societal questions.
But what comes through so strongly in these deep dives is just the remarkable resilience of the Afghan people, facing every difficulty. Even with all those challenges, people are still desperately trying to get educated, businesses are still trying to operate, and that vibrant culture, it doesn't just survive, it adapts, it endures.
What's really fascinating is how that fundamental spirit, the culture, the aspirations persists even through constant, profound upheaval. The Afghan people have this deep wellspring of survival, this unyielding hope. They dream of peace, stability, a better future. And the younger generation, especially, despite all the obstacles, seems really committed to education, innovation, to this vision of rebuilding their country, that persistence.
It raises a really important question for you, the listener.
And that brings us towards the end of our deep dive today. What we've hopefully shown is that Afghanistan is so much more complex, so much richer than the common perception. It's not just mountains and deserts, not just a place defined by conflict. It's a land bursting with layered history, deep poetry, a vibrant culture, and truly incredible, often unseen, beauty. Yeah. Even though Afghanistan has endured countless struggles, continuous turmoil, its people remain strong. They're hopeful, fiercely proud of their heritage. That's truly why it's called the heart of Asia, isn't it? A heart that keeps beating with resilience, echoing with history, and pulsing with dreams for what could be. So as you think about all this, maybe ask yourself, what does it really mean for a nation to be resilient when faced with such profound, continuous historical challenges? And what lessons can we maybe learn from a people who consistently hold on to their culture, their education, their hope, even in the toughest of times?